The Maiden Who Outsmarted the Czar. Once upon a time, there lived a poor man in a cave. He had nothing save only a daughter, who was very wise, and who went everywhere to earn a living for them with her words. She also taught her father how to speak well when asking for charity. One day, the poor man went to the Tsar's palace to ask for charity. Hearing him speak, the Tsar inquired where the man was from and where he had learned to speak so well. The man told him where he was from and that it was his daughter who taught him wise words. "Who taught your daughter?" the Tsar asked. "God himself taught her, and our poverty," the man replied. The Tsar then gave the man 30 eggs and said, "Take this to your daughter and tell her to have the chicks hatched from these eggs. I shall reward her handsomely for it. Should she fail to complete this task, however, you shall be faced with a great ordeal." The man took the eggs and went back to his cave in tears. He recounted everything the Tsar had said to his daughter. At a glance, the daughter realized the eggs were all boiled. She took them nonetheless and told her father not to worry, but to go to sleep, and she would have everything sorted out. Her father did as she asked and went to sleep. His daughter then put a big cauldron of water on the fire and boiled some broad beans in it. In the morning, she said to her father, "Go to the field with plowshare and oxen, and plow the land by the road where the Tsar passes. When you see the Tsar coming, take these broad beans and shout, 'Now, oxen, with God's help, these boiled broad beans will grow.' When the Tsar asks, 'How could boiled broad beans grow?' you shall tell him, 'Just as chicks can hatch from boiled eggs.'" The man listened to his daughter's instructions and went to plow the field by the side of the Tsar's road. Not long after, the Tsar appeared in the distance, and the man began shouting, "Now, oxen, with God's help, these boiled beans will grow." Hearing this, the Tsar halted his carriage and asked, "Poor man, how can boiled broad beans grow?" And the man replied, "Honorable Tsar, they can grow just as chicks can hatch from boiled eggs." The Tsar at once understood that it was the man's wise daughter who taught him to say this. So he had the man brought to him and gave him linseed yarn and said, "Take this to your daughter and tell her to make out of it the sails and ropes and everything else required for a ship. Should you fail to complete this task, you shall be executed." The man was overcome with terror at hearing these words, and he took the yarn back home to his daughter, sobbing all the way. When he told his daughter about the Tsar's latest request, she sent him to sleep again and promised she would have everything sorted out by the morning. The next morning, she woke her father up, holding a small piece of wood in her hands, and she said, "Take this piece of wood to the Tsar and ask him to have a loom, spindle, distaff, and all other tools needed for weaving made from it, and I'll have the ship's sails and rope done in no time." The man followed his daughter's advice and went to pass a message to the Tsar. The Tsar was astonished to hear this and began pondering what next to ask of this clever maiden. He then grabbed a tiny little cup and passed it to the father, saying, "Take this cup to your daughter and tell her to take out all the water from the sea with it so that it becomes a field." The man took the cup back to his daughter, crying. Having heard the Tsar's latest request, the daughter advised her father to go and rest, and she would have everything sorted out overnight. In the morning, she woke her father and gave him an ounce of mortar, saying, "Take this to the Tsar and ask him to seal all the springs and all the lakes with it, and I shall have the sea emptied with the cup and turned into a field." The man did as she asked. When the Tsar saw that this maiden was far smarter than him, he had her summoned. Her father brought the maiden to the Tsar, and the Tsar asked, "Now tell me, maiden, what sound travels the farthest? The maiden replied, Honorable Czar, the sound that travels the farthest is that of thunder and that of a lie. The Czar then held his beard and asked his attendants, Guess how much my beard is worth? Some said this much. Others said that much. And the maiden said, You are all wrong. The Tsar's beard is worth 3 summer rains. The Tsar was surprised with this answer and said, The maiden has got it right. Then the Tsar asked the maiden to marry him, saying that it had to be that way. She didn't really have a choice. The maiden curtsied and said, Honorable Tsar, your wish is my command. I just ask you to write on a piece of paper with your own hand that should you ever feel angered by me and decide to send me away, I shall be allowed to take with me my most precious possession. The Tsar agreed to this and signed the paper. When some time had passed, one day the Tsar got angry with his wife and said to her, I don't want you to be my wife any longer. Leave my palace and go wherever you wish. His wife replied, Honorable Tsar, I shall abide by your words. Just please, let me stay the night in the palace, and I shall be gone in the morning. The Tsar allowed her to stay the night in the palace. At dinner, she secretly mixed rakija and some herbs into his wine, and proffered the cup to him, saying, Drink, my Tsar, and rejoice. For tomorrow we shall be parted, and trust my words, I shall be happier than when we first met. The Tsar drank and fell asleep. The Tsarita put him in a carriage and took him to a cave. When the Tsar woke in the morning and found himself in a cave, he shouted, What on earth is this? Who brought me here? And the Tsarita replied, I brought you here. Why did you do this to me? The Tsar asked. Haven't I told you that you are no longer my wife? The Tsarita then took the paper out and showed it to the Tsar, saying, It is true, my honorable Tsar, that you said I was no longer your wife. But look at this piece of paper. When you signed that I could take with me whatever I loved most in your home. Hearing this, the Tsar kissed the Tsarita, and together they returned to the palace.